Welcome, Heart and Soul Mother. This is me, Jana from Soul Life Now, and in this video I want to ask you, and I ask myself, can you stay offline for one day? I challenged myself and I challenged the parents who came to my workshop to do the same. And in this video I want to tell you about my experiences with it. And if you like my video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. So here we go. So I challenged myself, and with this video I want to challenge you as well to do the same. To be offline for one day. And what does that mean? That means that you don't access the internet in any way. That's what I did. I chose a Sunday, and I did that as part of my workshop. So everyone who signed up for my workshop beforehand, I gave them this one task, and I gave them a second task. I will talk about that in the next video. But again, I gave them the challenge to stay offline. And why did I do that? For one, because there were questions involved in that. If you want to know all the questions, I put them down in the description to reflect your experience. I think that's always very important. And I gave that task to the parents because we don't take that time anymore. And especially when we ask something from our children to not be on the phone all the time, we have to look at ourselves first. That is my first tip I always give to parents, to mothers, and that's also in my ebook. If you want to buy my ebook, you can find the link below. And that's the first one, to reflect on yourself, because you usually ask a lot from your children, and depending on their age, they even start questioning you then and say, well, I see you always with the phone in your hand. Why do you want me to do something different? So, and we have to because we as humans, we are people who have to make experiences in order to make a change, for example, or in order to understand how we operate. Sorry, my voice is cracking up here. So for me, this experience, I want to talk about that, was very interesting because I did it on a Sunday and I spent the day mostly alone with my son. And what was interesting, the first thing that struck me was how many times I think about the smartphone. And you know, since I am somebody who advocates being more offline, I thought, oh, it's no problem for me. And I'm not addicted, or I'm just not as addicted as others are. But yeah, every time I was standing in line to wait on something, because we got something to eat, my son and I always wanted to grab the smartphone. So every time my mind wasn't occupied by something, it immediately wanted to have that input from the smartphone, which I found was very interesting. But I also looked at it, and you see that in the questions, because I also asked when would the smartphone would have been very handy. And that was, I got a letter from a doctor, and he said something, because I suffered from a thrombosis a few months ago, and I got a letter from the doctor. He looked at my blood work, and so the letter came back, and of course he didn't understand a word. I don't know if you get these letters, it's all very in not in layman's terms. So it would have been very handy then to have the internet to look up all the terms, to Google them. I know doctors don't like that, but in that case it would have helped me. So, you know, and that's why I asked also this question, because we always have to, technology won't go away, and I always see it, you know, there's always a positive and a negative aspect about everything. And so I found it very interesting to see this aspect on that day, But overall, it was such a great experience for me to, yeah, to not be stressed by the smartphone, because that's what I experienced, that it is stress to look to even if you are bored, then you look at it and you see a message from somebody and you think, oh, I need to answer, I need to reply. Oh, there's somebody who gave me a heart on Instagram or whatever. I have to, or a comment. I need to reply. So it takes away a lot from the day, replying, even reading the messages. And so it was such a relief to not have that and to just be with my son. And the interesting thing is that on the next day I could remember so many moments. And sometimes when I'm very occupied with the smartphone, even though I really try not to use it that much when I'm with my son, but still it just takes away some of your attention. And that's actually what scientists found out when they did a little experiment with that the smartphone always takes away some of your attention. And so I could remember so many more moments from the day ahead with my son, and that was quite astounding. I slept much better. That's not a surprise. And what else was very interesting was the fact that I was much more at ease at night, before falling asleep. That was one of the questions as well. How did you feel before before you went to sleep, and how did you sleep? So I really, I'm challenging you to do the same, and use my questions below to reflect on your experience. If you do that, let me know how that went. I will be very glad to hear from you. So yeah, go ahead and challenge yourself. It's always a good idea to make new experiences, and I see you in the next video, and I will tell you about the second part of my exercise I gave to the parents from my workshop. See you then. Good night, good evening, and good afternoon wherever you are, Heart and Soul Mother. Goodbye.